好，那我们早上第一场9点半的议程呢，是由 Yama Orce 来自乌拉圭的这个讲师，好，他是一个就是在 CD PROJEKT 的首席的概念艺术设计师。那他这次会来演讲关于 concept artist， 就是概念设计，在整个他们团队活动，在这个团队合作中的就是他们扮演的关键角色，然后他自己个人的 concept artist 的这个成长历程。那请大家给他一个热烈的掌声。那欢迎 Yama Orce。
Hello, 你好。Oh, now it's working. I was surprised with the power of my voice, right? But it's really good acoustics here. Thank you very much for being here. It's been a pleasure to being invited by TGDF. So thank you very much for having us here. Just myself, but the team of CD Projekt Red. I just wanted to, well, first of all, introduce myself. My name is Yama Orce. I am an Uruguayan concept artist. Right now, I'm a lead concept artist for CD Projekt Red. And I want to tell you a little bit about what's been my experience, a little bit of my history, so I can share with you just different stages of what have been this career, and I wanted just to expand it to not just people who are starting in this path, but also professionals and anyone in the middle of the road. Maybe there is something here you can take from all this experience. It's been 8 years since I'm working on this company and this industry, and well, there is some stuff to share here. So without further ado, let me show you a little bit of what we have next. This is our menu for today. Considering all my history, I would like to divide it in 3 main stages. So the first part, my beginning, as an artist, and everything, that I learned about, the story that I wanted to tell. The next part is about the community and how taking part of that community make me grow and can help any of us just become, as you know, a bigger part in a bigger industry that is growing and growing even more. And the last part, the last part of my career has been the team, right? Once I joined CD Projekt Red, and once I started work with people, the whole experience that I have, not just as a team member, but also as a manager, is something I would like to share with you. So let's go a little bit back into the beginnings of an artist. It's a little bit of a jumping down the memory lane. So bear with me. You're about to see some questionable quality of art, but I also wanted to share a little bit more of what I was learning, right? Which is very important, not just in the early stages of a concept artist, but also at all points of the career. And part of that, beginning of the career is the opportunities that we either seek or they present in front of us, and it's always good to pay attention to them, because this is where we make big jumps into the horizon. So brace yourselves. The year was 2007. This was very questionable. I was actually I was finishing my studies as an architect. Not that I finished the career, I just decided to quit after 2 years, because I wanted to do art. I wanted to do art for entertainment. I didn't know what that meant. I just grabbed a mouse in Photoshop and I started painting these characters. As you can see, there is something I have for white hair characters with swords, right? And I started to dive into fantasy themes. The other thing that I had as influence was comic books. I'm a big fan of comic books, especially dark detective stories like Batman. And I, at some point, I was thinking, okay, there are these 2 things that I like. There's fantasy and games, and there are comics. And I want to be an artist for maybe both of them, but I cannot be both of them because I would like just to maybe combine this stuff, right? And this is when something really interesting happened. And it's that around that time, 2007, there was this game appearing in my life, The Witcher 1. So that was, I was mind blown by just experience of playing this game, because it was connecting everything I wanted to do previously, right? There was this fantastic dark fantasy detective story, you know, this medieval Batman dude that was hunting monsters, right? In this nice setting where fantasy was believable, right? It was not like over the top high fantasy, but it was something, you know, that, you know, you could think, okay, maybe this could have actually existed, right? And connected to that, there's, you know, a white-haired guy with a sword, which I previously mentioned I liked, right? So that was, you know, fitting perfectly for what I wanted to do, right? So I found my theme at the moment. I thought to myself, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to get into dark fantasy. I want to use my comic style to add action, to add, you know, emotions to it. And for that, I needed to do like style research, you know, take a look at a lot of artists, a lot of, you know, references, and get, you know, slowly into the theme, right? And the one thing that I had after this, let's say, research, is that I started to dream big. I started to think, okay, maybe one day I could actually work for this game. I could actually make something like this, right? So connected to this big dream, there is something interesting about this particular picture. Remember, this is 2007, so it was like 15 years plus ago, so please don't judge the quality of my art. But this was for a fan art contest that was held in social media, and, you know, from the project. And I thought to myself, okay, maybe I will give it a try. Let's see what happens. Of course, I failed terribly. Not even, you know, nothing, just to mention anything. But it helped me just to realize that, yeah, this is what I wanted to do. So from this, I started to dive deeper into the theme. And I started to come up with my own characters. I started just to, you know, post stuff in social media, slowly, you know, practicing, studying. At this point, I enrolled into art college because I realized that, well, if I wanted to work on this, I needed to study, obviously, right? So I learned art fundamentals. I learned, you know, the basics of drawing and painting, and I was applying this to my client work that started to show up after, you know, I was showing my own creations, you know, in social media. People reach out, you know, slowly start to say, hey, look, I have this character. He has, you know, like you know, nice medieval style. He has, you know, white hair. It maybe it's a little bit anthropomorphic, you know, it's naked. So I was like, okay, well, I guess not precisely what I wanted to do, but it's what pays the bills. So I decided, yeah, why not? And I started to take on these challenges of, you know, drawing for other people, and started, you know, handling their expectations. But we'll a little bit more of that later on. The thing is, you know, I started this, and it became quickly some sort of career path in which I started to slowly, one by one, create more and more characters, and a bit more, and then a ton of them. At some point, even up until today, I'm still making these character designs, not just for myself, but also for clients. And the great part of it is that, you know, this gave me a lot of practice into just mostly character illustration, right? But the thing is that after so many, I realized that I was repeating the same tropes. I was making, you know, kind of, you know, going for the same patterns. And everything seemed to be, at some point, too similar. Even though, you know, there was a style, there was, you know, my own input into it, characters started to look the same. So I realized there was something very, very important that I needed to tell to myself, or just to realize that art needs to tell a story, right? That all these characters, they need to have something unique in them in order just for them to work, to be alive, right? And what I have with that is that, you know, I started asking my clients, okay, don't just give me the description of the character, but tell me a little bit more about the story, what's behind them. And this actually started to give me a wider perspective on how to make art. And art, it started to have a context, right? I started to seek for that context. I started to find some sort of a purpose in what I was doing. It was not just a pretty picture that I wanted to achieve. It was something else, something with a meaning, let's say. So with this in mind, I started to delve into the fantastic territory of concept art. After, you know, character illustration, get into concept art. And concept art has this thing. It's not just the pretty picture, but it's designed with a purpose, right? So there's a character brief that, you know, it would come from a client, it would come from a colleague at work, more on that in the future. And with this, it's a matter of solving that that problem, giving that brief a life, a material life, right? There is this thing, I always say, I will repeat it, I think a couple of times here in this talk, that art is the way to materialize ideas, right? We can have a brief that is written, we all can read it and interpret it a different thing. With art, we make sure that everyone sees the same thing, right? Even though it's subjective, we might like this or that, but having just something there that we all can see that is the same, give us a better common perspective, right? So, and actually this is the key feature for making art for entertainment, right? The fact that we're all aware of what we're looking at, this makes it very, let's say, useful, right? When you're coming up to build a project, right? So with all this, I learned the do's and don'ts of the craft, right? As I started to dive into this. Of course, from design, the whole process of searching for references, for making design choices, design language, all this stuff that we can talk a little bit deeper into it later on. But this was like my first steps into it. At this point, I was pretty much on my own, right? Just researching on the internet, and reading some articles, looking at some videos and tutorials, and finding out that, well, there's something amazing behind this, right? It's the part of being able to create not just a character, but a world, right? In which we can communicate and share our ideas, our stories, right? So just to give you a little bit of more context on this was around 2011, 2012, there was The Witcher 2 came out, so it was another major inspiration for me because I saw that my favorite game now has a second part. It's becoming bigger and better with cooler art and cooler designs. And there was another fan art contest that because I had too much of this client work, commission work, I couldn't make it in time. So this, what I have here on the right, this is design for Geralt. This is my work in progress entry for this contest I couldn't finish. I wanted to show it here because, yeah, yet again, I failed in my fan art contest. But well, what is life is not a bunch of failures that turn into maybe something good. Let's see what happens next. So after this, I was decided, right? I realized that I found the one thing I wanted to do, which was concept art, and I need to get a little bit more deeper into it. But I couldn't have done that without jumping into this next stage, into this career path, which is the community. And this is where when exchanging things with other people, not just sitting on social media, but actually getting to meet your peers, meet other artists, meet the people who like and follow your work. It's great just to have that feedback, right? Just to understand the importance, the meaning of what we're doing, which of course, right? It has its boundaries, but sometimes it can help even just change someone's life when you put some passion and effort into what you do. I also started delving into teaching, it showed up as an opportunity, and I learned the values of that, and all that helped me just to develop and grow a little bit more into what will be later in my career. So I started freelancing, as after the decision of me wanting to make a living out of it. So I started to search not just for client work, but also for from freelance company work, so freelance contracts, right? I started making design for games, for board games, video games, board games, right? And some additional projects for publishing, and it was great. Way of learning about others' expectations, right? It was different when you were creating something for a client. It's just a very, let's say, intimate relation, right? You are talking with your client, with the person who's commissioning you, and this person will tell you what they want to have, in their art, in their drawings. It's following mostly taste, but here the expectations were more practical, right? You needed to touch to formats. You needed to follow visual design. You need to fit to the projects you were designing for. And all these expectations made me understand that this is much more complex than what I thought. Of course, I was not thinking to quit at all, but it was hard to actually deal with all the expectations. The thing is that everything becomes learning, right? Everything becomes knowledge. And with this, I was able to learn about the trade, right? What is it, let's call it the actual work business behind the concept, right? After this, or more in parallel, I started teaching because, I needed to pay my bills, and freelancing at the beginning, it's not very reliable, right? You have your contracts here and there, but it's not usually like constant work that you have at the beginning. So I had I set up my workshop with a bunch of friends, and I had people ranging from different ages, from 9-year-old kids to 35-year-old adults with families. They would come to this workshop, learn how to draw and paint, which I will be teaching the stuff I was learning, from this, from my school, my studies, and from my practical experience, right? With this, the one thing that I learned, I believe the most important thing that I learned, is the value of learning, right? Learning itself. This is something that we all have it on our personal perspective, since we're the ones who are learning. But when you see someone else is learning from listening to you, what you're saying, you realize how much you can influence someone with the knowledge you have, with the words, and especially with the way you approach them, with the way you communicate with people, right? So it's not just the value of learning, but also the value of communication, of listening, that I realized that, it's super important to have that perspective in order to understand how to work with people and how to be part of a community and how to also influence, right, other people in a good way. The other thing is, the part of me listening to them, whenever, for example, especially with younger kids, 9-year-old, I will tell them, hey, look, maybe there is something here you can fix in your character, right? Because, you have 6 fingers instead of 5. And the kid will say, you know what? That's my choice. That's my artistic decision. And what can I say to that, right? It's something that I realize that different people will require different approaches, and that it's important to just think on how everyone will receive the feedback that you have to tell, in order just to kind of adapt it to it, right? And in this way, you're going to make sure that people will listen to the good things you have to say. And also, you listen to them, so in order just to adapt that message. After this stage of me getting into freelance work and teaching, I started to have some savings, and I was able to look into different horizons and realize that if I wanted to get closer to the industry, I couldn't wait for the gaming industry to come knocking at my door and saying, hey, look, I have some work for you. I need actually to go to them. And I think this is something that everyone here can relate, because we are here in an industry event, right? So this is what I started to do. I started to go to industry events where I could just get closer to developers and reach out to them. As I mentioned, I come from Uruguay. It's a small country in South America. We don't have much going on when it comes to game dev. So I need to go overseas. This was in Germany in Gamescom 2013, in which I just tried to reach out to game devs, especially to the project, where I wanted to just get in touch, see if they could check my portfolio, see if they could see, what I was doing. And maybe, I don't know, maybe there was an opportunity. So I was waiting there, as you can see, there's a lot of people there, right? So imagine a fraction of these people was in this Set the Project booth. This was by when Witcher 3 was announced. And everyone was waiting there for some merchandising. I think they were giving away some T-shirts. So I stopped on the line there, hoping that, well, I could get a T-shirt. And I noticed the line was like 3 hours long. But well, I'm not a quitter, so I was like, okay, I will stand here for 3 hours and see if I can get my T-shirt. On the way where I was waiting there, you know, I guess 1 hour and a half, and my feet were just a bit numb. I realized that there was something similar to this type of booth here, right? Where the company, they had a book where people could just, you know, as we were in the line, people were passing by, they were signing best wishes, you know, they were saying their congratulations or writing, I don't know, whatever they wanted to have in the game as, you know, wish list, right? So as I was standing in the line right next to this, I see there is a book with white pages and some pencil. And that, you know, me as an artist kind of calls in, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm not good at writing, but I can draw, so I'm going to draw something here, right? So I started to sketch quickly this face of Geralt. As you can see, I've done it a million times already. So I was doing it like this, just as a matter of leaving this as a record that I was there, right? When I realized after a few minutes, I had a circle of people around me looking like, wow, look, you can draw. It's like, yeah, well, I'm an artist. And one of the developers who was just passing by approached me. He saw that and he's like, wow, that's a really nice drawing you have there. And look at the guy, you know, he had a developer badge and everything. Oh, yeah, thank you very much. That's an honor. And he said, you know what? We could use someone like you, you know, just, you know, for storyboards, you know, for some sketches, maybe some designs. Here, there you have it. And he gave me his card, his business card. And I grabbed this like, oh, wow, this is golden. What do I do with this? And the guy said, you know what? You should apply. You should apply. Anytime you see a job offer, just apply, and let's see what happens. The guy said, I'm pretty sure you're going to make it. With that boost of confidence, I went back to my hotel. Of course, after that, I didn't get a T-shirt. I got something much better than what I needed. So T-shirts, like, yeah, whatever. You know, I'm not going to wait another 1 hour and a half. I went straight back to my hotel, very inspired, very pumped with all this, good positivity. And I started just painting. I went to draw Geralt again, you know. It was Witcher 3. They were showing some stuff. So I was, you know what, I'm gonna create some fan art. This is what I do. And I'm motivated, so yeah, let's go. This is the beginning of me pursuing this job. So I went for you know, this particular piece you have there, you see there, it's gonna, you see when it's gonna take some more meaning later, right? I was, with this, I actually put it on social media. People started to like it a lot. I realized that, you know, there was some value in what I was doing, right? It started to get some traction, you know. It started to have, yeah, this validation that it's important as an artist to realize that, well, you're not crazy. What you're doing is useful, it's meaningful, right? It can make people inspired. And I started to have this more of this wider perspective, right? Of maybe I can make it, right? Maybe I can make it. If this dude from CD Projekt told me about it, about that, and I see that, you know, I have the support of people that I don't know, right? There's clear a message there, right? So I put this there, out there in the world, and incredibly enough, it got reposted in the Witcher fan page. This was 2013. It was amazing. I got a lot of people just, you know, reacting to it and following me afterwards. And there's even this guy that said epic, you know, and I'm like, okay, I want my work to be epic. I'm gonna keep that word dear to my heart. I want this to be an epic experience, right? But as I was, you know, kind of looking at the small success of this image, I realized there was something that I was missing the whole time, and it was the key for success inside the project, Red. It's right there in front of your eyes. It's fire. You put fire everywhere, and it works. So after that realization, I came back to another fan art contest, and I put so much fire into it that this time I made it. Second place, baby. Yes. this is it. This is it. You know, after that, I cracked the code. Of course, it was just more of a after I think this was 2015, something like this. So I was already practicing from the first image that you saw. It was 80 years, right? So I think 80 years of constant work, continuous effort. It finally paid off, and the fire, of course. That if you notice, all our marketing materials, they all have fire, especially for The Witcher. It's a thing. So yeah, with this, I realized, taking on challenges and pushing yourself a little bit beyond what you would expect from yourself is actually a good way to go, right? It's a good way to reach different horizons. And with this, I also realized, well, many things, just came big load of self-awareness that maybe there is a role to play, to choose what kind of artist you want to be in the community and inside this industry, the entertainment industry. So with this, I was decided I wanted to be a professional. I mean, it has to happen. It has to happen soon because I also, I needed a change in my life. I needed to get more independent. I needed just to find a new step in my career. So following the advice of everyone, actually, I started applying a lot, and continue my work. Got deeper into the Witcher world. Not just with fan art, but also I got approached by the project just to do some small marketing material. So I realized that, well, I was dipping my toes into it, right? And I learned the importance of that, the fact that if you take part of this, if you're taking part of this, you choose your role, you decide what kind of artist you want to be. You're able to inspire others, right? And you're able to have this message to share that I was sharing not just with my students, but with other peers and people that I met after that. Now, after this is where things get interesting, because after all this process and me sending, throughout 3 years from 2013 until 2016, sending job applications in my portfolio and so on. After that, I finally made it. I got hired with PROJEKT in 2016, and this is where the whole thing of taking part of a team started, with the challenges, with all the decisions and career path that you can take, different things that you are experiencing, and of course, stepping into new horizons, which is actually the exciting part of it. So this is the part of the talk that's going to take a little bit more into the professional area and what is my current present in the industry. So starting from just the beginning, I was hired to work in Went, the Witcher card game. But I was doing a lot of card illustrations. But later on, I was delving into animation, UI art. I was just jumping into many different parts of the game production, which it was for me unheard of. Even though I had an idea, just out of what I can read in articles or see in videos, being there and having the experience is much more complex and enriching, let's say, than just reading those articles. So with this, I realized that there's huge value in working together. I started to learn a lot from my peers. I learned not just from artists, but from designers, from writers, from programmers, from cinematic designers. Everyone would have some input in which art would be kind of involved in a way, right? For me, at this point, it was just a matter of, okay, I'm going to design characters, I'm going to design environments, and that's pretty much it. But there's so much complexity, especially when it comes to AAA games, and especially when they're narrative-driven and so on, that it just blew my mind, right? I realized that there were so many possibilities, and that the idea that I have about art for games and for entertainment was quite narrow, right? Regardless of this, I started just to, from the basics, deciding on just, working on as a character designer, character concept artist. But later on, we had opportunities to work in new projects. By the way, when I arrived, there was a project that was already ongoing. Went was already, on beta stage and about to get delivered. But this time, I have the opportunity to start something from start, something fresh. You know, we have an idea for a Witcher game connected to Went, that unfortunately it lasted for only 2 weeks, the beginning stage of the project, before we decided, yeah, it was maybe more intuitive just to go into something bigger. But what I had here is that I had the possibility to start something from the beginning, right? And I was given the chance to try something new. For example, well, what if we use concept art, not just for characters and environment, but for the story, right? We all know there are storyboards, you know, that are used in cinematics and movies just to make a pre-visualization of what we're going to have. But what I wanted to do with this, in a format of, you know, like a comic book, is just to have a whole panel of the story of the game in a way that you can, for example, decide whenever you have a choice, you can just, you know, select a different panel and move forward. So in a way, it's a pre-visualization of the story in an interactive way, right? So I came up with this idea, realizing that, well, yeah, we don't have to just attach to the traditional way of doing concept art. There's a possibility that we can expand it, right? And with this, there were more ideas coming later about gameplay and how to show combat, traversal, you know, different type of loops. Not just with sketches, but, you know, more complex images. Later on, you know, some other colleagues that I was working with on this approach, they were using 3D just to pre-visualize stuff. And it became a really interesting learning experience, and the fact that, you know, it has so much value in pre-production made me feel like, okay, this is something I could totally do. Something I feel very, very confident about it, and this is actually the way that I want to do, right? So I wanted to jump a little bit outside of, you know, just creating characters and start telling stories, right? So after this, or more or less during these moments, I was applying everything that I learned before, you know, as a student, as a teacher. When it comes to the feedback loop, you know, I would have people in my team that I started to slowly manage. As you know, I have I was gaining more experience at this point. I was like 4 or 5 years in. I was able just to give feedback to people, to receive feedback from them, and to kind of improve my communication skills. I was able also to inspire people with some ideas, and it became a really interesting dynamic in which when I was in the room working together, there would be a lot of exchange, right? And the moment I would step out of the room, or I would, I don't know, do my own thing, everyone would just go back into focus. So this type of group dynamic made me jump into something a bit more challenging when it comes to the career path. And it's the management and leading. You know, all these qualities that I was practicing was seen by my supervisor, who recommended me to follow the management path, right? So first I became a coordinator of a team, and later on I became a lead. And that's, you know, the current state of where I am right now, which I can share some pointers here and there. Probably if any of you here managers, you might have some resonance in this. There's always the case of, you know, being a manager versus being an artist. This is the first thing that I noticed. Even though management for me, it became a transition, I always had the problem of managing my time and managing others' time. And the fact that I wanted to do art, but I couldn't, because I needed to be on meetings. I needed to manage other people's tasks and give feedback. And this is something that up until today, I think for many of us, it's a bit of a struggle. But I managed to mitigate it by relying on my team. And first of all, you know, coming to a clear realization that they are the ones doing the job, and they're going to make it much better than I will. And that realization, that trust you put on them, it gives you some peace of mind. The peace of mind that I would use later on, when I go back home, feeling like, okay, my team made a great job, so I don't have to think about it. And maybe back at home, I can do my own art and actually have that side of, not losing the craft, while also keeping up with the management job, right? Another thing that became interesting is the dynamic between the team and the manager. At this point, I was managing the team that I was working with for the past 6 years. So many of these guys are my friends, and the communication we have is very open and very direct. But there's always a case of, I'm the manager there, the team, and we have just this communication, right? That at some point, you need to stand your ground. You need to either be the bridge between the team and the project, the team and the upper management. That sometimes, it becomes a little bit of a complication of, choosing sides, especially whenever there is, some complicated decisions to be made. But the important thing here, or at least, the way that I figured out how to handle it, is to avoid this division between us versus them, and realize that we are all together working for a common goal, a common purpose, right? And this is actually, I think, the biggest takeaway from this stage that I'm in right now, as a team member, as a lead, is the fact of having common goals and keeping them in mind, right? This is the thing that keeps the team together and keeps the project running, right? Always remember about the goals. Always remember about what's at stake, what's the finishing line, and that we need to support and help each other in order to get there, right? And the tool we have to do that is actually communication. Communication in a way of not just being polite and nice and listen to each other, but also try to understand each other. Because this is the one thing that, especially when there are difficult decisions, difficult times, and some conflicts, we tend to judge, right? We tend just to put each other in a different place. And the fact is that we're in the same boat. And doesn't mean that everyone has to be in the same, doing the same job, right? Doing the same thing at the same speed. We'll need to respect our roles. We need to respect our moments, even in terms of just sometimes personal context and so on. And with understanding, communication can happen. With communication, we have support and help, and with that, we can achieve those common goals, right? It's pretty much about it. Just now, a couple of keywords when it comes to this, just to have a very clear wrapping of all this. Collaboration is the thing to strive when it comes to working as a team. By collaboration, you can create, these worlds. We can tell the stories that we want to tell, and we can make these games we want to play, right? And with creativity, we're also, as a group, we're pushing together this materialization of the ideas that we have, right? I like to tell that, at least to myself or in general, I have this conception that, especially the games that we make into the project, they have these three main parts. There is the story, as our driving force. There's the game itself, the part of design, and then there's the art, which is the materialization of it. It's like the soul, mind, and body of the whole thing, right? Which the soul is going to be the story, the mind is the design, and the body is the art. And this is the art, the thing that we see, that we interact with, that we can kind of touch, right? That makes it. That's what gives this importance, I believe, to what we're doing, especially in concept art, where it's the first step into showing this art, right? To have that common vision of what we're going to make in the end. And that common vision is actually with concept art that you can see even in this presentation. I hope at this point art is a little bit better than the beginning. It's been a few years of practice, but I see every time I'm making a presentation in the studio, showing not my art, because again, this is all fan art that I'm doing, stuff that my team is doing, and how excited the other team members, the rest of the company gets, because art is that materialization of the passion that we put, right? And it's the way with concept art we can see what we can achieve, right? We can project how the projects are going to look, how the game is gonna come out, and that gives us not just hope but also the motivation just to get there, right? I want to make a game that looks like that key art. I want to make a game that looks like that illustration, right? I want to tell the story of that moment that is happening there, right? And design, I don't know, combat that looks as badass, with fire sparks everywhere, as we have in our concept art. So yeah, with all this. It's just, I wanted to tell you just as an overview of what's been the career path, and I wanted to just sum it up in short, right? From these 3 stages that I was mentioning, there is the importance of an artist and find that story to tell, right? To be able just to give meaning to what you do, give meaning to the art, right? Taking part in the community and finding a message to share, knowing your role in a wider spectrum and wider audience, also gives you the idea, the vision of how people think, how the community think, which in the end, it's not just the art community, but also gamers, right? People being aware of what people are striving to see and to experience in your projects, right? And finally, working as a team and setting common goals to achieve. This is the way to keep the integrity of the team, to keep the project running, to keep the people working together, and to give the motivation that it's very important to be able to communicate that passion and share that message in the projects to come. So yeah, this is actually, as an overview, I wanted to share with you. And in fact, as you can see, there is there's a lot of general information that I hope it serves as entry point, right? Because for me, the most important thing from this day to day is that it's a whole day, right? And the fact that I'm going to be around there in case that anyone wants to dive deeper into details and so on. I think if you have any, we're going to jump into questions later, right? But if you have anything you would like to know more about all this overview that I have, please reach out. We're going to be able to talk a little bit more about it. And of course, the idea with all this is it's just continue making just epic art, right? About that, Remember this picture, and this fact that was the epic fire sparks, right? There is some interesting anecdote that I realized not too long ago when I was digging up this picture. I wanted to share with you, because there was this guy who wrote there epic, right? As you can see, this message. It's very simple, right? Just epic. That guy there, Sebastian Kalemba, that guy, 10 years ago, he was working in another company, but right now, he's working at PROJEKT. And he's actually my game director now. That 10 years ago, he just liked my picture. We didn't know each other. We didn't know that we would know each other. But I came back to him and said, hey, dude, you see what happened 10 years ago? You just like my stuff. And he said, yeah, you know what? I think it's still epic. And I think we can still even make it more epic. So right now we're working together in the next installment of The Witcher, next saga. And yeah, finally, after these years, the dream came true. My dream of drawing a white hair, dude with swords, is happening. So with all this, I wanted to, thank you all very much. For listening, for spending your time here. And as a last message, I want just to mention that, yeah, let's share passion, inspire others, and as Sebastian said, let's make it epic. So yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. 谢谢. we have plenty of room for Q&A now, and I wanted just to make an additional mention about our social media. You have a QR code here you can scan. I think, Jack, you're taking care of it, right? Where is Jack? Yes, great. And thank you very much, Jack, for all your work that you've done here. Give it up for Jack. Round of applause. Thank you. He brought us here, Pavel and Repek, and he's doing an amazing job showing us Taipei. So yeah, and the food, man, is fantastic. You have fantastic food here. Thank you very much for being awesome. So any questions that need some answering?
好，那现在进入这个本场的 Q&A 环节。如果你想要提问的话，请到中间我们走道上有2支麦克风的部分，那可以来前面这边提问。好，那我们这边有人就是正在起身中哦，请大家就是主动走到你的这个麦克风这边。那你可以用中文提问，我这边会用简单的方式帮你翻译。嘿，我们看，对，没有我要提问。OK。好，那边就开始。
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
My name is Lawrence. I have a question about the team part. Because as we can see, your artworks are very epic. So my question is that the team part, you need to be a manager, and you need to manage your team. And because of your artwork is so perfect, so how do you to? 谢谢. How do you get over that you have no time to do your own artworks, and but you need to have time to fix, or you need to time to look over others' art and see them growing and do better works than than your artistic works. How do you get through that time? Because I know a lot of people that they do very well in their own works, but it's hard to be a manager when he become a manager.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to get over that feeling. You have no time to do what you like, and you will not get the credit from that other media or something like that. So this is my question. So thank you.
It's a really good question. I guess you relate to that, right? And we can we can relate to it. I think you just need to let go at some point of the idea that you're going to be the front line for this, right? Because I have a team that is more than capable of doing much better stuff than I could ever imagine, right? And it comes with that, the fact that you just have to appreciate what the team is doing and appreciate their own decisions and appreciate their own taste. With this, I find this reassurance that, okay, I know they're doing a good job. I feel confident about it. And with that confidence, as I mentioned, right, for example, I can go back home without thinking, oh my God, I need to fix this. Oh my God, I need to give this feedback. I need to change that. And it's more of a case of, okay, my mind is free. I can do stuff, 2 hours after work. I sit down, I do my own work, I have my own sketches. And most of the times what happens is that the same trust that I have on my team is also inspiration. And I end up doing stuff, fun art for the own game that I'm making, which is the one thing that I was doing from the very beginning. So it's a weird thing because it's like I'm coming back to the origin, right? Of me using my spare time just to do things to honor the work of others. But it feels really good when those others are people that I know, that I work with them every day. And they come to me and say, oh, Shama, look, you did this thing, you posted on social media, it looks so good, and it's based on my design. It's like, yeah, because I really love your design. Oh, I really love your illustration too. So it's, it's like it's sharing this stuff. I don't get maybe the recognition, right, as you mentioned, of going out there and my work is in the game, or like physical work is in the game, right, or my design is here. But I feel it. It's a different you feel it's a little bit of a different position, and it's just more relaxed, to be honest. I feel I'm more happy with happier with the art that I'm doing now than if I had to do it, you know, with the expectations of many other people, right? Yeah, it's pure inspiration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question. It was a very good one.
好，那我们请这边的提问。
Okay, thank you for your sharing. So I'm a programmer, and I'm very curious about in our region, and you're in a working team, and you will say a common goals to achieve. But can you give an example about the goals?
Of course.
Okay.
So we have, it's very important for every project to have goals, right? And it's important for every team to have them in order just to have something to strive for and to achieve, right? So the way we do it is on a practical way, right? We sit down with other leads and usually, you know, directors all together, and we are reviewing what we have. We usually start with story. Later on, we start prototyping things in the game, in the engine, and so on. We're reviewing that, and we are thinking, okay, how can we improve this, right? How can we make this better? And this is when the ideas start to roll, right? We have ideas that are ranging from the very specific, oh, we need to put some decoration here in this environment because it looks empty. Or something more loose and wide, like, this character, the appearance of this character doesn't make me feel warm enough. I need this character to be warm. So this kind of things is the things that we are managing as ideas from directors, right? The more specific ones are easier to solve because, you know, you go straight to the team and say, hey, look, we need a concept art on overpaint of this screenshot from the engine where you can add more specific, you know, decoration and so on. For the ones that are more poetic, we need to come up with like a proper task for it, like a goal. So if a character needs to be warmer, maybe, you know, we need to change a little bit of the design, color palette, expressions, and so on, just to make it work better. So all this becomes a very clear brief, right? A task that we discuss it later on with the team, just to see if everything is clear, if it makes sense, and if they don't have anything to add. Because usually, you know, it's imagine that an idea comes from a director, and it's resolved by myself as a lead and my producer. But this is just 3 people that we're talking about, you know, it's the exchange. When the team comes in, I have a team of 10 really amazing artists, very creative and very spread across many different themes, expertises, and disciplines. So they will say, wow, I like that idea, but maybe we can make it even better. Or maybe we can change it into something more epic. And with the input of the team, we all create the goal, right? This particular thing needs to be done. And sometimes it's done by one person, sometimes it's done by a group, if it's, you know, something larger. And once we have that, and we are clear and agree on that, set up a time frame, deadline, and let's go. Let's make it epic. That's the way we do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
好，那我们请那边的来提问，谢谢。
Hello.
Hello.
I have a kind of a 2-part question. In terms of what you did successfully from the first time you applied for a job and the ones you got hired, what did you do differently, and has the focus shifted as AI has started coming up?
Wow, I was expecting that one. So, yes, AI, divisive topic. What can I say? It's scary. I mean, I can play brave, and I would say I'm not scared about AI personally, right? But I do respect and understand the fear that is put in people. I have to deal with that a lot in my team. As you know, I have a lot of people coming in and saying, hey, are we going to get fired? Hey, are we going to be replaced? And it's like, no, we are not. So some things change and others don't. I can tell you what it doesn't change is that we still need people to make decisions. We still need people to have ideas. AI doesn't have ideas. AI is like, if I had to compare in a simple way, and this is something that, you know, people from here from Taiwan will understand very well. It's like going to buy food, right? You can go to a supermarket and buy like a very pre-made, super cheap, but still filling, I don't know, sandwich, right? They're packed and they're very, you know, I don't know, chemically producing stuff. Or you can cook stuff yourself, right? That's the way I see it. Sometimes, you know, some people prefer to have it, you know, all done and, you know, and processed food and all stuff, but there's still many, many people, and I will dare to say even more and more, that like to make their own food. Or you like to go to a restaurant where the food is, you know, is crafted with some heart and some, you know, some passion. So this is the way that I see it, you know. There is the craftsmanship of art. And the ideas behind it. This is something that cannot be replaced by an AI. AI will just reproduce things that are already made, but it wouldn't create anything new. And even when you say that, when you see that something like, oh my God, look at what AI did, it's awesome. It's not the AI that did it. It's in your head that you see something good in it. And it's your decision to decide if you're going to use that or not. So for that, we always need people. And people are not, we're not gonna go away. Now, the other side of it is that AI is a tool, right? It has the potential to be a really good tool if it's used, you know, in an ethical way without, you know, stealing someone else's artwork or resources. But, you know, I have on my personal case, right? I'm painting a lot of medieval armors, and you have this, you know, small details like, you know, this ring mail that, you know, I'm not going to paint every ring, right? Usually you use photo brush. And if I have at some point a tool in which I can select and click fill with ring mail, I will be glad to have that. So I see the potential for it to be a tool if it's well used. But yeah, things need to be solved ethically. The thing is that in my team, we definitely not use it for legal purposes, right? It's not properly figured out yet. But also we just like to have the people's decisions, people craft more on top of the decision making, right?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Bear, and I'm a fellow concept artist, and I'm an environment concept artist. So my mentor is Fan Zhu.
Oh, wow.
You probably heard of him.
Congratulations.
One thing that he drilled us in our head, very specifically, is that never do fan art. You know, that's one thing that he kept telling us. And recently that I think he went to France, attending some concept art event, and he said that 90% of the portfolio nowadays are filled with fan art or filled with like fancy shots or whatever, you know. So when I heard what you were saying, that you kind of your approach is kind of like not what he told us to do, but somehow you still made it. I guess there are more than one way to success, I guess. I guess my main question is that what do you guys look for in a concept artist portfolio? Because like you said, like what you said, you did some fan art in the beginning. But I guess you improve your skill as an artist as time went on. That's why you eventually got hired. But I assume maybe you got some rapport by doing fan art with the people in CD Projekt, I guess. So I guess maybe the first part of my question would be like, what do you actually look for, in your portfolio? And the second is that what are the other aspects you guys are looking for, like how do I prove that I'm a
more technical, right? Yeah.
Yeah. How do I prove that I'm a good person to work with? Like something like that, something that is not as tangible. I guess that's my main question. Also, do you do portfolio review if you have time?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
So definitely. I don't have much more time for questions, so we're gonna just to give you, because I see there is a bigger queue, maybe we can do this later on. I'm gonna be around, right? So whoever is ready for questions, please, I'm gonna be visible there. We can approach and do this. So I will reply this one, because we need to move forward. Yes, I would say, Feng Shui, it's like ultimate concept artist, right? But I would quote someone, very controversial, Justin Bieber. I don't know if you know the guy. He said, never say never in one of his songs. So that's the thing. What can I say? I do understand definitely, the idea of not making just concept art. And maybe it was a bit misleading what I showed here because I only showed concept art. But I've been doing much more of other stuff. And as you mentioned, yes, I've been improving my skills, not just, concept art, fan art. It was replaced for fan art. I've been doing not just fan art, but also different, more challenging things, especially with the freelance and client work, is when you actually get to learn the constraints of actual industry work, right? So definitely not just fan art. With fan art, what you do, at least what it's been working for me, is that I can show the passion, the honest passion that I have, the honest care that I have for the projects that I'm making this fan art about, right? And this is something that, as a developer, you see it, and you get to appreciate it. When someone is paying homage or honoring what you're doing, it gets you closer, right? And what happened to me, it was I was not thinking about it. It was not a strategy. I was just doing it because it was just, as I mentioned, right? I was after this meeting, right, in Gamescom. I ran back to my hotel to do this because I needed to express the excitement that I have, right? So all this excitement, this passion, gets translated into art, and this is actually what you get to see. So if you tell me about reviewing portfolios, if I see some passion in your work, that you could clearly see because you've seen artists, you see their work, and sometimes you're like, wow, this person put a lot of effort here, right? You cannot do it just because, or you do it because you really want it. So when it comes to that, this is one of the things that I like to look into it. And I think, as also was hired inside the project, people who were hiring me also like to see that too. So I would dare to say, I know Pavel could expand more of this later, but I think it's a little bit of in our company culture, just to strive for this passion, strive for this motivation to do this to do this type of topics, or to work on this type of topics, right, that we have in projects. So yeah, there is a technical aspect, of course, fundamentals, seeing good drawing, seeing something that fits the standards of what a good art is, that I guess we're generally aware of, but there is that additional layer of your personal input. Maybe Feng Shui has his own, as searching for originality, searching for his own approach. I have my own, which is putting that motivation and that the honor that I feel of just being able to play these games into art, right? So I think it's about showing that makes the whole thing. Whoever you are, if you like originality, if you like homage, it's the same. You have to put that in art.
Okay, thank you.
I think, thank you. Thank you very much, guys. I think we're wrapping up for now.
Yeah. 好，那因为时间的关系等一下还有很多问题可以到外面再跟讲师互动那我们最后还是再提醒一下，刚刚有提问的朋友也可以到我们的照相墙那边来跟讲师合照。现在是休息时间，那下一场的议程是11点整开始好，那先请大家再热烈掌声感谢 Yama。